Suddenly I had the best health insurance of my life. Suddenly I had someone to go to if something was unfair. Suddenly I had someone negotiating my retirement and stuff for me. So the before and after of being in a union in my late 20s was dramatic. Welcome to the People Fuss podcast. I'm Carrie Prince.
And I am Doug Daniels.
And today we are discussing the fuss about unions.
Unions.
Union strong. You've heard it.
That's right.
We have big feelings about unions. I've been in a union.
I am in a union.
Douglas is in a union. We have tons of family and friends that are in or have been in unions and provided benefits that we have all trickle-down effect benefited from.
Yep.
And unions are actually in the news, which Douglas will get into. So this is a big topic, and we've been talking about it for a while. Very excited to get into it today. If you think that unions are dumb, or you don't know much about them, or you don't think they matter, please keep listening.
Yes.
Because I didn't really know about unions until my late 20s. And most people we talk to, when you get right down to it, they tell you how freaking important they were for them in their lives.
And I think a lot of people have this sort of abstract idea that, oh yeah, I know that unions fought for a lot of the things that we take for granted, you know? Mm-hmm. So we're going to play a little game at the end of the episode where I'm going to list some random things, benefits, workers' rights sort of stuff, things that we take for granted from today, and see how many of those came from a union fight.
Is this a guessing game?
It's a guessing game.
Am I the one guessing?
You're going to be the one guessing.
I love it.
We've got cards, everyone.
Oh, I love a good card game.
That's right.
A good card guessing game. Okay, so Douglas, hit us with the facts.
Some interesting facts. Depends on what you think of as interesting.
These are fascinating. These are fascinating facts.
I think these are fascinating because I'm a nerd. Union is an autological word, which means it's self-descriptive. Okay, because a union it's a union, right? Exactly. The union membership per capita, that is to say, the percentage of wage and salary workers that are represented by a union, in 2024, only about 10% of workers. You compare that with 20% in 1983.
Wow. It's shrunk a lot.
Various reasons. One of them is because of Ronald Reagan. But we're not going to get into that too much because that's a whole separate topic. But the per capita peak, unsurprisingly, this is actually kind of surprising to me, actually. I thought it would be a little bit after, but it's in 1945. It peaks at about 35% of the workforce. And the reason I say that I'm surprised is because, during that time, it was like everybody was on the same page. So there wasn't really a need for a union, right? Like, we're going to work and we're building these warplanes and tanks because the boys need them. So let's just get it done, kind of thing. But happy to find out that I was wrong about that. Peaked in about 1945 at 35%, and then plateaus, and then the golden age of making America great in the 1950s, depending on who you're asking about. One was great in America. 33 to 35% of workers. Plateaus in the 1950s and 60s.
So are you saying that if we want to make America great again, maybe unions is a part of that?
I think so. I think an
Mm.
empowered workforce is a good way to...
People that can support their families, have nice retirement, afford college and homes.
Have some sort of chance to fight against multi-billion-dollar, trillion market cap, whatever the fuck they say nowadays. Yeah. Jesus.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Clocking that one.
Yeah. But the real reason we wanted to talk about it, and we'll talk about this later, just so many spoilers. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is the man who was wrongfully, illegally deported to El Salvador and now is facing threats to be deported to Uganda, of all places. Anyway, I found out that he is part of a union and that...
Woo!
Yeah, and that his union went to bat for him pretty hard.
Yeah, they did. Get out there.
And so I thought that was a neat little tidbit that I hadn't heard about this story, and I thought it would be a good thing for us to talk about a little bit because we both, as Carrie said, have personal experience with the union. We have family that are heavily involved in unions, so we have a lot of good things to say about unions. And we do want to hear about you guys and your experience with unions, good or bad, because I would be the first to say that just like any other man-made anything, there's good and bad.
Yeah, there's flaws. There's tiny bits of badness and corruption everywhere.
It's like,
always
yes,
gonna be a
okay,
thing.
mafia running Teamsters is probably not a good thing kind of thing. Yeah, like, yeah, okay, we get that. But, you know.
Unless you're a Teamster, that's great.
Yeah, okay.
I love you guys, by the way.
I don't know. Yeah, this is fantastic. It was really good.
I have really, really adored many Teamsters in my life, though. And even when many of them are not associated with that, right?
Sure,
but there's
of
this
course.
like tough thing. And I will say, like, on film productions, like, if you are in with the Teamsters, you're protected. I will say that.
Yeah. There. I think even to somebody who's never really been directly involved with the Teamsters Union, as a history buff, American history buff, the just the word Teamsters has this kind of like muscle man sort of vibe to it. It's like the Teamsters are involved, you better back the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, and it is still kind of a thing. That's what I'm saying is like even on production sets, there's a vibe.
Yeah.
There's a vibe.
Yeah. Well, some of the union bosses you've seen testify to Congress, it's like, you want to go outside and fight? Like, yes, dude. Yes, I want to see a union boss going toe to toe with a Congress dickhead. Anyway. But before we get into all of that, Carrie, you're going to talk a little bit about your experiences, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I want us to. We have a little bit of a different experience with unions, and we're both relatively new to them. Here's the thing: I was in a union for 5 years, and it was just enough time to be vested and keep many of my benefits. The reason why I left was not because of the union. The reason was why was because the film industry was a little bit collapsing at that time, and I had a new pathway in life I wanted to follow, getting my MBA and working businesses in a different way. I loved working in production. I was so thankful to be in a union, but I have this really interesting like before, during, and after vibe about it.
What was what union?
I was in IATSE Local 781.
And what is IATSE?
IATSE.
Don't look. What does it stand for? What does it stand for?
No, I'm allowed to look at my notes because the thing is I always forget the theatrical part.
I know. I had to look at it too, and I should know this.
Which is
well.
hilarious. No, and we've actually talked about this, I think months ago. He was like, what is IATSE? And I was like, it's the International... Wait a second. So funny. International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, which the reason why theatrical always... I just don't remember is because it feels theater and stagey versus like movie production.
Well, but it could be modifying stage employees. So it's like you're just talking about a bunch of flamboyant workers.
Yeah.
Like, they're just so theatrical. They just need their own union.
Yeah. So I was in 871, which is a really weird combination of people in this union. And I'll get into why that's good or bad, but it covered production coordinators and assistant coordinators, which was very much my world, script supervisors, teleprompter operators, and accountants were under that umbrella as well, even though they had kind of a different deal. And then writers assistants had just recently joined. There might be a couple other smaller roles I'm forgetting about at the moment, but here's the thing is like it was a pretty big umbrella of all these small little things that were under the same umbrella.
Do you know why writers assistants were granted admission into IATSE, but not like, the Writers Guild of Association or whatever of America, Writers Guild of America?
Probably because of what their work was. And WGA is really that's just a very tough union in some ways to get into. And I think just the requirements, like for a lot of folks, even, I know that the teachers that teach like kids on set at productions, their union and how that all works. Like, I think that they were thinking about, other unions and stuff. And when you're looking at, jobs that have like similarities, right? The production office and what happens in a production office is very hard to explain to people how what a hybrid sort of thing it is, right? It's very administrative. It's very communicative. You're kind of like the mom of the production. Like you're connecting everyone, you're disseminating all the information, you're making sure everyone cleans up after themselves, making sure people stop fighting. You're like making the producer happy, making the studio happy, making the artist happy,
first aid
making
kit.
all the things. You're coordinating all the things. You're the mom, you're the coordinator. I mean, it is a really interesting and hard job. All jobs are hard in production, I would say, to some extent because of the work, but the production coordinator it spoke to someone like me because I'm like a super tasker. I can handle a lot of things at once. I can like process a lot in a day. I have a really high output in a day. Generally, people that have like really good and high organizational skills, really good communication skills, know how to deal with a lot of different personalities, that kind of thing. Those are the kind of people that are good in these jobs.
Yeah.
For me, the lifestyle and the hours and all that was not something I wanted to do for a whole lifetime. And I didn't really want to move up to be a line producer, which many people, that's kind of their pathway up. I just had a different idea in mind for how I wanted to apply those skills that were good in that job, and they're good being in operations now. I direct operations for a company that serves people that are production companies and stuff, which is funny. I haven't really gotten so far away from
it's Los Angeles.
Those Richie creatives.
Yeah.
Back to the union, though. So here's what's funny. I didn't even really start to clock what unions were or what they did for people until I was in my late 20s. I started to understand that people in production were parts of these different unions. There's all different unions for different parts of the job. And I was non-union as a PA and then as a secretary, and I made friends with this coordinator who loved me, and she would tell me like, you know, you should think about this as a career. You can get into the union, and the union has all these benefits. And I was like, you know, benefits, schmenefits. Then as I worked with her and as I started seeing what these benefits were and understanding my pathway to like getting there, suddenly it was like a whole different thing. And over 5 years, right, I would have never saved $15,000 for retirement on my own. I just wouldn't have. As a late 20s person, it's not on your mind. Healthcare's on your mind a little bit if you're, especially if you have any issues, if you're healthy or whatever, but really just affording your life in LA is what's on your mind. Making rent is what's on your mind. So as soon as you get into a union and they're automatically doing all this stuff, suddenly I had the best health insurance of my life. And that was negotiated for me from some magical people, right? Suddenly I had someone to go to if something was unfair or if I felt like I was in trouble or something. Suddenly I had someone negotiating my retirement and stuff for me. So the before and after of being in a union in my late 20s was dramatic. I mean, this was a huge change for me. And I'm curious if you had a similar experience with how, because it was different for you at the library.
Yeah. I mean, so there's two different things in the library. So there's the union that I'm a part of, which is the American Federation of Teachers, the, what is it, UCAFT, which stands for, now I have to look at my notes, University Council of the American Federation of Teachers. So UCAFT. It's confusing because I'm like, University of California? No, it's just University Council for the American Federation of Teachers. However, another group that has been a very strong advocate and, just ally in general is LAUC, which is the Librarian Association of the University of California. And it's not a union per se, but it is a professional governance body.
Okay.
So they are the ones that handle the peer review process that I go to. And things like that, so that they function a lot like a union. So they're the ones the reason I get to have a peer review and go get up for a raise every 2 years is because of LAUC. The amount of that raise and the contract that was negotiated is because of the union.
Do you remember getting like sworn in and going to your first meeting when you finally became a union member? Did you have to do that?
No.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I had to do this whole thing. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit because this is one of the issues I think unions are facing that's bad, which is there's a lot of old school tradition in the way that a lot of these unions still function, right? It covers a lot
chairman and
the brothers and sisters in solidarity. Yeah. All the language that they use is very coded still.
It's 19th century stuff.
They did the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of each meeting, and I was like, oh my God, where are we? The way that they talked about stuff, I mean, I felt that the people that were most involved in the union are traditionalists. And so there's a good and bad thing about that. Again, they're very engaged and they know what's going on and they know what they want to fight for. And for people that are not engaged in the union, you should thank those people that they're engaged and that they care and that they're fighting for themselves and everybody else. That's part of why this is such a great People Fuss topic, is because this is about connection and support and community in a really important way. This is people fighting for each other to have better lives.
Yeah.
And our cats are going to break down the door right now.
I was just thinking community, communion. There's the word union is in both of those. Union. Wow, it's we need a linguist on here to tell us all about different connections.
So when I had my first meeting and I had to go and I think I had to sign stuff or say a pledge or something, I just felt it was very archaic. I think it turns young people off.
Yeah, I think so.
Me off.
I think so too. Just like you said, the pledging and the minutes and call to order and all of that stuff that I understand, like given the history, like the workers wanted to be taken seriously.
Totally.
So they modeled everything after what they saw the suits doing, essentially, and it's like a board meeting or whatever.
Yes.
So it totally understand where all that came from. But yeah, I agree with you that a lot of that stuff sometimes let's dispense with this crap and just talk about what we need to talk about.
Modernize it a little bit. I don't mind if some of that stuff stays, but I do think it could be modernized. And actually, some people would try. Like I did bring up, because you know me, I'm always going to raise my hand and say something. Most of the time I'm stirring the pot, and it immediately got lots of like icy, stiff reactions of like, she's trying to change things. And I was like, you guys, this is silly. Oh my God. We're right here. I'm looking at your face. We don't need to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, we're okay. God. But again, the flip side of that is when you're a young person who joins a union and you see that there have been people that are building their retirement and that have cared, and they've been in this thing gaining support and trying very hard to get people engaged to benefit you. Mm-hmm. You enter the union and you get all these benefits because someone else in that union gave such a shit for you.
Yeah.
And that's a really strong, powerful feeling, thinking like, wow, I don't even have to do anything and people in this union are like caring about how we do in life.
I'm very much one of those people that is happy to pay my dues, but because I know that there's people that are really going to bat for me, and I absolutely want to reap those benefits. But I'm not personally that active or involved. I do think the tradition of swearing in new members, or at least having some sort of initiation ritual, I think that's a good idea. I think just people need to be introduced to these institutions, these organizations, not just the history of them, because the history is so important today, especially with what's going on. But it also, I think, it's a way to build solidarity, and that's what unions are all about. Is building solidarity, making sure that the individual worker feels like they're part of a collective, that somebody has their back, they can go to bat for themselves, for their coworkers.
And there's a scheduled renegotiation. This is not something where like you have to get to the point of being fed up. There is a scheduled renegotiation, and everybody knows that this is the time to ask for more.
Yeah.
And the employer has to do it. I mean, this is like you play ball every few years whenever the contract's up. And I got to be a member because I volunteered because I'm a nerd. I wanted to be on the negotiations committee when the contract was being reviewed for the AI changes in production. I left that year, so unfortunately I didn't get to like
what year was
partake as much as I wanted. The year that I
21, 22.
Yeah, it's somewhere around there because I kind of trickled my way out of those jobs, and then I hung on for as long as I could and
'Cause
attended
of
meetings as long as I
the
could. They
insurance.
wanted me to stay. They were like, "We need
Yeah,
you."
yeah.
Because again, I was spicy and loud, and they need younger people to. They really need younger
But
people to
also
engage.
you were doing production coordination, which didn't have as good a representation on the
Yeah,
board.
they're too
right?
busy.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
They don't attend much. And there's, here's some things about that particular union, but I'm guessing that this happens sometimes where there are different interests between people, and sometimes those are in conflict, and it's hard to get a consensus for what to fight for.
Yeah.
So for my union, like I said, what accounting wants is not the same as a script supervisor, is not the same as a production coordinator. We had very different interests in what we were fighting for.
Sure.
You're always going to be fighting for things like healthcare and retirement, which is great. But when it came to working conditions and changes for that got really tricky with my particular union. And I think when you have generational differences, right, younger people are going to be a lot more concerned maybe with starting families and the stuff that supports that. And older people might be more concerned with their retirement. So there's always going to be these differing interests. But to me, that's good politics. That's people getting in there, figuring out where they can find agreement and consensus and fighting for what they want. And being on a negotiations committee felt very cool and very powerful. If you can't tell, I actually do like politics. I think it's important and beautiful. And there's politics within unionization.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You are trying to persuade. You're trying to negotiate for people to have a better life.
Yeah, the definition of politics is like getting through a difference, a disagreement.
Yeah.
So the whole point of a union is to, navigate the politics of, workers versus management.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about what it was like leaving the union, which you don't realize, again, when you're in it and it feels so good, you can kind of take it for granted. Like, this is just how it is. And, especially as a younger middle-aged person who maybe thinks they're going to be in the union a while, you don't have the same maybe feelings or stakes as you would as someone who's been in a long time and wants to make sure that that's all going the way that they think it's supposed to go. I was only in for 5 years, which was just enough time for me to be vested. And when I left, it was really tough for me to suddenly have to take back on the responsibility of all those pieces. So I had to find health insurance that was going to be as good or, somewhat comparable. And luckily, right, partner has union health insurance, which happened to be my same network, which is why I now pay a lot more because it's not subsidized anymore. And that was a huge part of it. And then retirement. Suddenly I had to be like, oh, I'm heading towards 40. Got to worry about this now. Now I have to figure, got to get a financial advisor.
Now you're on this side of 40.
I know. So all of a sudden, all those things were on me and only me, right? I don't have a group negotiating for me. And I didn't.
But you also don't have like a financial expert negotiating for you.
I know.
That's the thing. It's not just that they're like negotiating for you, but it's like you trust that an organization like the union is going to have somebody go to bat for us that knows what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to retirement plans.
Yeah, and they have good opinions that apply to you specifically, right? If I went to someone who didn't have the exact sort of experience, like this is actually relevant in some ways because in production, especially in freelance production, right? These are not jobs that are always easy for people to get loans and stuff because of the income and how up and down it is, and they consider it to be volatile even if people are making a lot of money. So that's hard. So there are credit unions specifically for people in entertainment, so that because they understand the lifestyle, right? It's a totally different lifestyle and different way of working.
Yeah.
And the unions are going to be fighting for slightly different things, knowing that all these people work 12-hour days. So what was I fighting for when I was in 10-hour days? I was fighting for 10-hour days, fighting for it. And do you know how hard it was to get people to agree to a 10-hour day? Because there are people who say, well, 12-hour days, it's like the rate goes up after the blah, blah, blah. And I don't mind it. And that's how it's always been, right? Like people are suddenly trying to justify, oh, that's how movies have always been made. And I'm like, no, if George Clooney can do 10-hour days, we can all do 10-hour days. Fuck off.
Yeah, George.
He was great. He did 10-hour days on Suburbicon, and I loved him for it. Not that it really made a difference for the production staff, but when shooting's done, it is a little bit easier. So if they have a 10-hour day, it's better for us to be able to wrap that stuff up.
That stuff does trickle down.
Okay, so before, during, and after a union, I would say if I could be in a union now, I would be. I would go back in a heartbeat if it applied to what I'm doing now, but it doesn't. I'm on my own. I have to figure it out. I have the pleasure now of actually building benefits for employees for a company on the other side, right? I am on the top shelf of a small company where we talk about what we can do to give employees benefits. And here's where we have to keep thinking of like what a union does for people. They negotiate on behalf of employees without that conflict of interest there of profit, right? I have to, it's my job to think about money and profit and how we're going to do things, right? I don't
Are you
have
gonna
anyone
pay for all that shit, all the benefits.
yeah, exactly. So I have these like conflicting interests in some ways. I am super pro worker, so luckily, and
She's the man.
luckily the culture at our company is so wonderful because the founders really had that in mind from the beginning of like they really wanted it to be people centered as soon as they could, and I think that's why we all get along. But as with any young company, like you struggle to figure out how you're going to give the benefits you want while still being financially healthy. The beauty of something like a union is like they're going to push as hard as they can without that problem, right? Like they're going to push hard, and then the company in a strange way gets to push hard the other way, knowing that the union has the workers' backs. So this agent relationship of having a center negotiation, I've been on both sides, you guys. I've been on both sides and I love it. I think it's necessary. I think it's just like having a left and a right, or like we used to in government, that they provide checks and balances to both sides and that everybody walks away a little bit happy instead of one party walking away totally swallowing the other, right?
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. I love this idea that you have a group of people that are there to like support you and fight for your life, and there's this sense of community. And I did reach out. We reached out to some of the people in our lives to get some quotes about how they felt about being in a union or what they felt about unions now. So I just want to bring up a couple quotes from other people that we know that have been in unions. One is from
A former LAUSD teacher,
Go ahead.
also part of the American Federation of Teachers.
Woo.
She said, quote, "Without unions, teachers would be screwed, and they need them now more than ever."
Yeah. And I think that person also, when we were joking about unions, she was having trouble thinking right off the top of her head about like the biggest benefits. And I was like, what about healthcare? And she was like, oh, yeah.
So, yeah, in a way, I've always benefited from unions,
it's hard. Like, again, it's easy to take for granted. Okay.
Totally.
Government worker in a Commonwealth country. So a non-US country, right?
Commonwealth.
Yeah, it's a Commonwealth country. There's a lot of bad stuff that never happens just because they exist and people don't want to upset them. Right now, they're arguing hard to keep flexible working. Flexible work has a huge impact on people. We just lost a new hire, a mom who needs flexibility because she needed more of it. And personally, it would be hard for me if I had to work from the office 5 days a week in the future because I live so far out.
And by flexible work, she means remote work.
Yeah, hybrid and remote.
Yep. That's another thing that I think our unions are also kind of getting involved with as well, is because there's now this return to work, because we weren't working before, apparently. No, but it's a physical return to work that the unions are now kind of getting involved in, which is good. I mean, because again, it's like you said, I think that there's a balance. Obviously, there's cases where people should work remotely 100%, but you need that conflict, that debate, negotiation to figure out, the best thing for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this third quote is beefy, but I really liked it because it surprised me when I asked this person, and then Doug read it and was like, oh, I got stuff to say about that. And I was like, great, that I'm learning new stuff about unions and why they're good for people. So this is a former general education and special education teacher from Southern California. Once you start teaching for a while, you realize that the body of teachers in a district stays for long periods of time, but the administration comes and goes. When admin comes in, they want to make their mark by doing some big change. And sometimes they want all the old teachers to go, or all of this one thing needs to change. And she's seen that happen. But you realize those admin will be gone in 4 years. And then the next admin come in and they want to do the same thing. Oh, I want to make a big change. So this all needs to happen. whether it's style or discipline or social emotional strategies, that kind of stuff. Without the union, there would just be this massive turnover of teachers at the whim of what the new administration wants and doesn't want, how they see education in the moment or what have you. I've seen it happen, and it's not just politics changing. It's race, culture, age, experience, and controlling the way teachers operate and how much privacy they have. Over time, I saw that the union kept the teaching pool stable and truly diverse, and diversified the way the kids are being taught as well. I was a union skeptic when I first started because it's a lot of money, but boy, after a while, you see what would happen without it. And I loved that. I loved the idea that just having a union in place diversifies the pool of people and diversifies the way that something happens. And then the turnover of admin was something that, I think somewhere like a UCLA seems like it would experience as well, right? Like you can't be beholden to some new temporary administration coming in.
Yeah, and just by definition, usually administrators at that level, at least at the high enough level, are generally older, generally towards the end of their careers, and so they're not going to be there as long. Teachers tend to be one of those professions that stays put. Like I taught at this high school for X number of years or whatever, and anybody listening to this that is affiliated with the UCLA library knows that there is a lioness among the UCLA librarians who has generational knowledge, and in the depth of her institutional knowledge is amazing. And she is a firecracker.
Love that.
She doesn't give a shit about like propriety when addressing management,
Yeah.
like just straight up asks those questions that need to be asked.
Yep.
I don't understand this diagram. Can you like
that, I feel that so hard. Yep.
But yeah, she is a ride or die union ball buster. I mean, not busting the union balls, but like anyway, she's
I love that.
She's fantastic. And yeah, so I definitely think that there's some truth to what your friend was saying about the union members being the longevity. There's longevity there, and tends to be. Because I mean, I think a lot of people, a lot of workers, they want to be stable. I don't know a lot of people that like job hopping. I think a lot of people would like to stay loyal, stay local, stay at the same company, doing, you know what I mean, with the same kind of people, if they could. But anyway, and then of course admins coming and going. That's kind of always been a thing.
And to the extreme, what I did not apply at all until I thought about that was like, yes, in this case, teachers like are sitting in their position and maybe at the same school for many years. In production, we needed something like that, maybe even more so, because you are going project to project with totally new teams and new studios almost every time. I think I only worked for the same studio a few times. Like I worked all over the place, and then sometimes.
But not just like studios. I'm thinking like, okay,
different bosses.
What if you're working on set for like Downton Abbey, and then you got to go to like film Waterworld or some shit? Like it's just wildly different. And even between TV and movies, and even between types of TV, and now the whole landscape has changed in terms of how much green screen or special effects or whatever, how much of that stuff is taking over live action. And then also how much things like reality-based series or YouTube TV. I mean, unions being a thing for child stars. You can watch all of the new documentaries on child stars. Like stuff needs to happen right now, because as people are doing this as work for YouTube television, there needs to be protection. Yeah. Oh yeah. YouTube content creators and stuff. The amount of hours that are going in there, and the age of some of it's kind of crazy. Should we talk about Kilmar?
Yes, I think this is a great way to jump to Kilmar, because it is super high stakes how a union can help someone.
Yeah, and this will be a pretty little short overview of what's been happening. For those of you who don't know, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was sort of the flashpoint of Donald Trump's immigration crackdown in a lot of ways. He was among the first batches of kidnap victims to be flown to the CECOT, CECOT prison in El Salvador, which I hesitate to call it a prison because it's more like a gulag.
Yeah, people call it a gulag.
It's pretty wild. There's actually some pretty good documentaries on YouTube about it. I recommend you guys go check this out. CECOT on YouTube. It's scary.
Really
it's
scary.
Very scary. And a week after he was illegally deported. So backstory, I think he came to the States from El Salvador when he was 16, and forget the year, but in 2019 he was given an order of, oh no, I forgot it. Oh, but it basically, a judge said, you can stay, you're here illegally, but you can stay, because basically granting him not asylum status, but basically saying that you can't go back to El Salvador. There's gang violence. His life would be at risk. You can stay for now. Kind of thing.
And from my understanding, like escaping gang violence from that country and coming here to like have a better life or whatever, there's some weird like irony that then his association with it was escaping that violence, right? That's why he was, quote, associated, is like he no longer wanted to be there and be around that. And that's why his name popped up, even though.
Yeah, I think one of the things that made him more of a target too is that he was 16 when he came here, and so some people might think that like certainly a 16-year-old has more agency than someone who came there when they were 3 or something, right? But I think there's still, I think a 16-year-old is still a child, even though they can do adult things. But anyway, so a week after he was deported to El Salvador, he was kidnapped and taken to El Salvador. His wife filed a lawsuit. A week after that, his union started getting involved.
Yeah, they did.
And he is part of the SMART Local 100. SMART is an acronym that stands for Sheet metal, air, rail, and transportation. We love these sexy union acronyms. So SMART got involved week after week, month after month. They've been advocating for Kilmar in court, writing in statements, letters of support, demands for due process from the president of that union, publicity campaigns, kind of spreading the word on his behalf, because he is a member of their union. So so this is one of the reasons why unions are great, because if something happens to one of their members, it kicks off this automatic sort of
support system,
autoimmune response, sort of. You know what I mean? Like all of the worker, okay, like let's start getting all of our flyers, all of our antibodies we need to start spreading around everywhere. That really goes to bat for an individual. In this world, we just need institutional support of some kind, collective support of some kind. So they also mobilized their members to call members of Congress, to call local and state reps. But more important than that, they started mobilizing other unions as well. And that's something that happens quite often. You'll see that unions group with other unions to increase their leverage. If you ever want to know what a union, how effective a union can be, go look at France, man. I think they know what they're doing over there. They like a whole country goes on strike or something. But anyway, actually, the union group, the overarching umbrella, that you might have heard of this, AFL-CIO. It's like the Union of Unions. Ooh. American Federation of Labor and the Congress of Industrial Organizations. The AFL-CIO is, or actually I should say the SMART Local 100 is part of AFL-CIO. as is UCAFT. So like I said, it's like a union of unions. So they start getting involved, and they're actually big enough to start lobbying El Salvador. And so, there's no way that we're going to be able to measure the impact here, but it's significant. It's not a small thing that blue collar union, maybe Republican voters in these, where was Brigo Garcia?
I don't remember.
Anyway, blue collar workers calling their reps saying like, hey, you took one of our own kind of thing. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, the politics of unions, we talked a little bit about Teamsters, but that was another really interesting thing about a film production is that there are all of these unions working together and they span the political spectrum from far left to far right. And some of these movements, political movements, it's been really confusing because generally since kind of Reagan, Democrats have been more pro-labor and done more actual things to help the labor parties get what they need, but they're not great at marketing it.
Yeah.
Who's great at marketing that they're going to help? Republicans. And so a ton of Teamsters, like I remember talking to one transportation captain on a show that I did, and he would always come in and be like, I don't know how to tell these guys, but like their political party is the one holding us back.
Yeah.
I keep telling him, like he was so frustrated because he had so many of these Teamsters that were, this was before Trump's first election, actually. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was before that.
14.
It was earlier. Yeah. And he was so frustrated. He was like, I don't know why they're voting against their own interest, as we say.
Yeah.
But it's the marketing, right? Like, and it was lifestyle. So like Teamsters generally are a little bit more traditional,
rough around the edges.
A little more rough around the edges sometimes, but like a little bit more traditional in general and traditional values.
Yeah.
And even disciplinary action and stuff, like they're going to be a fan of people that let them do what they want to do and that have maybe some more traditional home values, that stuff. Like they're not going to be the first to jump on the trans train. You know what I mean? Like there are some weird things that happen there, but in terms of their actual union and what makes their life so good, politically, it's actually the other side. Like as much as we can all complain about Biden, he did some great things for unions.
Yeah, he's always been pretty
super pro union.
But one of the good things about this Kilmar story too is that, like, I do imagine a lot of his fellow union members, sheet metal, air, rail, transportation, blue collar, kind of salt of the earth people. There's a lot of Trump supporters in there.
Yeah,
but when they hear their union saying, "Hey, one of our own just got swallowed up," and they think, well, my union wouldn't,
I hope
I don't work alongside MS-13 gang members. People in my union work hard because we work hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it's just another way for us to show that, hey, look, we are all connected in some way. What happens to your neighbor, it matters what happens to you. More water in the harbor, all the boats rise, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a fan of that little story there.
And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the labor movement in the next few years, because again, like it's really easy to say that things are bad now, but for so many union people, if they didn't have their union, it would be so much worse. That quote from the teacher saying like they need them now more than ever. Teachers are struggling, but if they didn't have unions, holy moly, right? There was a story from Texas. One of the people that I asked for a quote was saying her teaching friend in Texas was saying that they don't have very strong unions there. You're not required to be in one and all that. So there's no power there.
South Carolina, North Carolina, and South Dakota had the lowest union rates in the country at around 2 to 3%.
Great stats. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, back to Texas. Because there was no power in the union in there, this school was suddenly telling all the teachers what type of denim they were allowed to wear on casual Fridays, right? They're getting it, this whole idea of like controlling their lives and their personal.
Can't tell a Texan what kind of denim to wear?
Or can you? Because there's no union saying, stop that, don't do that, not allowed, goodbye. Like... It just got weird, right? Like when some weird administrator comes in and says we can have casual Fridays, but only if you wear light blue cotton denim that doesn't have stretch in it, that's not capri, that doesn't show underwear lines. Like,
yeah, get that capri crap out of here.
oh my goodness. So anyway, I just thought that was a funny little aside.
Yeah, but that segues nicely into our little game here.
I can't wait to be wrong.
Dear listener, please play along. I'm just going to read some very simple things you'll see in a second. And all you have to do is say to yourself, was this brought to me by a union or not?
Okay. Was this brought to me by a union or not?
Child labor laws. Meaning it's illegal for children to work in coal mines, for example.
Yes, that was brought to me by a union.
Brought to you by a union.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Lunch breaks.
Union?
Being able to eat your lunch during your workday.
Sounds like a union
and
to
take
me.
a break. Ding, ding, ding,
Thank
ding,
you,
ding.
unions. Ding.
Overtime pay. Ooh, overtime
Definitely.
pay. No, I think that was something management volunteered.
I know. You guys have been working a long time. Why don't we pay you more?
Yeah, why don't we give you guys a little leg up? No, yes, absolutely.
Union. Woo!
Ding, 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 ding. Let me actually, I should have done these in the other order. The 8-hour workday. Speaking of overtime, the 8-hour workday. That's right. 8 hours of work was not the norm back in the day. The slogan was 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for what we will.
Ooh.
That's how you know it's a oldie saying. It's like 8 hours for what we will.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that does sound. It sounds a little bit like it would be.
Yes, very old timesy 19th century or early 20th century. But yes, the 8-hour workday. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you, unions.
Yep.
Pensions.
Oh,
Pensions.
big one.
No, again, I think it was management that said, you know what, you guys, when you stop working for us, we're going to keep giving you money because we want to thank you for working for. No, that's pensions. Once again, unions.
Yay.
Ding, 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 ding.
This is a
Yay.
hard game.
It's a very hard game. Paid sick leave and vacation time. Paid vacation time and paid sick leave. Obviously, the United States federally not the best country in the world with this stuff, but where it is given, where you do get paid sick leave and where you do get paid vacation time, these concepts were brought to you by a union.
Woo!
Ding, 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 ding. Finally, the weekend. Not the band, but the weekend. For example, the thing that we're recording on right now. The weekend.
Yeah, we are recording on a weekend. So wait, before we ding.
Yes. How do you know we're going to ding? Yeah,
you had the ding mouth.
I did have the ding mouth.
You had the ding mouth. Wait, so just real quick, what you mean is Saturday and Sunday in particular, or 2 days off in a row, or like, do you know any more specifics about what you're saying
Why
there?
the fuck are you quizzing me like this?
I wanted to know what I was celebrating.
I don't know, man. No,
It's the 5-day work week, Monday through Friday.
5-day work week.
Fine.
5-day work week, 2 days off. But yes, I do think in a row is important.
Snip, snip.
Yeah.
Yay, unions.
Yay, unions. So, for all of their faults, and there are a few, and whether or not that's the union's fault or, anti-union busting legislation and all the shit that's being hurled at them.
Yeah.
We owe a huge debt to our forebears. We stand on the shoulders of people whose shoulders were broken by work, so we should be thankful for their shoulders on which we stand. But yeah, unions are fucking awesome.
And I hope that the folks that have really tried hard to unionize, like Amazon workers and stuff, and Starbucks and all that, I really hope people keep trying, even if they feel like it's a lost cause, because I do think that there's a breaking point, and I still think that groups of people are powerful. I still think the U.S. has something in it where we could do something, and I'm really hopeful that some of these big companies get the middle finger and we get some unionization.
Imagine if you're an Amazon employee, like warehouse employee, and all these like robots that are threatening to take your jobs, and imagine how much better equipped you would be if you had an Amazon-wide union saying, we're striking right fucking now until we negotiate the future about, all these robots and job taking things and everything. So I think Unions are good.
And the timing of when you form them is important, because if companies see their way out with AI, there's no incentive for them to negotiate.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you need that union yesterday to bring that company to the table.
If you need support for your union or forming a union, I'm happy to give it. Let's go on that picket line. Let's go.
Sure. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dear listener.
Okay, so our CTA today is
our what?
CTA.
We're not that big. We can't
we're not all marketing experts.
We can't throw out acronyms like that.
Our call to action today. Call to action today.
It's a fun one.
I think so. I've seen this movie a couple times, part of which was a requirement for certain classes, but I want you to go watch Norma Ray, which is a super classic film from 1979 about a woman who fights to start a union to protect workers. It's Sally Field. She is amazing. This was one of her breakout roles. Norma Ray. Go and watch it. It's very old, right? Like, it's not a current movie, but there's some fire in it still. I'm telling you what. And you can look up clips even and just see kind of some of the good parts, but it gets you fired up. It gets you in the mood to unionize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah. You want to give him our thank you?
That's our show, everybody. Yay. Thank you for listening. Please please subscribe. Please also comment. We love to engage in the comments, even if they're negative.
Spicy.
I like spicy comments.
He does. Doug loves those spicy comments.
They're so fun.
I hate them.
They're so fun. Please share this episode.
Yeah, share it with a friend.
If you subscribe to us on YouTube, anywhere if you want to subscribe to us, YouTube is the best place for it. Please do. Please hit us up on socials. We love to engage with you, hear your thoughts.
Yep. And People Fuss is a tight-knit production. It's produced by yours truly, me, Carrie Prince.
And me, Doug Daniels.
Yes. With marketing and editing supervision by Mary Wen. Our theme song is Human Colors by Delicate Beats. And our fun fact for the day about our cats, Yoshi has gone 2 days so far without barfing.
2 days.
2. That's the record right now.
Counting food and grass.
Yep, he eats way too fast and he loves to chomp on plants. So cross your fingers for us that we don't get any more barfs. All right. Bye, guys. See you next time.
See ya.